Hyper Light Breaker is releasing in early access in spring 2023. There's quite a lot to cover here, so let's jump right in. First things first, Hyper Light Breaker is not a sequel to Heart Machine's first game, Hyper Light Drifter, but they are set in the same world, and lore in the newest game will build upon what we already know from Drifter. And this is great news because the universe of Drifter is beautiful and mysterious, and I know that game left a lot of people wanting more. One of the most notable changes, besides the switch from 2D to 3D, is that Breaker will be an action roguelike. Yes, the genre is getting pretty full, but I have confidence that Heart Machine will make a good game and add their own unique twist. Something else that came as a surprise to me, the game will be completely playable in co-op. Now that's great if you have friends, but for the rest of us, solo play will still be the way to go. With some of that important stuff out of the way, let's break down everything we know so far, starting with character creation. Breaker will have a limited form of character creation, and there are 3 species we can play as so far. Initially, the game was going to have unique characters to play as, each with their own backstory and playstyle. It has since evolved to be more flexible and let players choose between any combination of weapons and species. First is the Melee Wretch, a monstrous, mutated soldier. This one sort of looks like a goblin and appears to be pretty light and agile. Maybe it'll have some sort of energy attack based on the wires attached to it, or maybe we'll be able to shapeshift into a different form since it's a mutated soldier. Leapers are rare prototype soldiers who have undergone body modification experiments. This one will definitely be slower and stronger than the Melee Wretch, and might have a nature-based attack since it looks like it just crawled out of a swamp. The last species is known as Blue, and they come from the mountainous north. This one looks like a mix between a cat and a lemur, and has been the face of the game so far. It's also been confirmed that player characters in Hyper Light Breaker will not be gender locked. They'll fall under different body types, depending on the animation rig used, and you'll be able to define your own gender during character creation, including a non-binary option. We love some good inclusivity in a game. Probably the thing we know least about Hyper Light Breaker is what the gameplay will actually look like. There is this short clip of a dash feature being used, and we see what I'm guessing is a health and stamina bar floating next to the character. This game does seem to have a big focus on movement and exploration, with features like wall dash, a hoverboard, and a glider mentioned on its Steam page. And since we'll be exploring such large environments, which I'll cover next, having a variety of ways to get around should spice things up. And here's a look at one of the enemies we'll be facing. Dro, a furious woven warrior. The art style in this picture reminds me a lot of Okami, so bonus points for that, Heart Machine. During the game, we'll be exploring the Overgrowth, which is a new land in the world of Hyper Light. Here we have a map of the entire region and its 6 sub-regions, including the Northern Realms, where Blue is from. Now we don't know how many playable species there will be in total, but maybe each one will come from a different area on the map. Okay, so as we're exploring the world and fighting enemies, we'll come across different biomes as well as underground labyrinths. I'm imagining these will act like dungeons where we can fight a boss and pick up some cool loot along the way. And since Breaker is a roguelite, after we die, we'll respawn in this hub area. Through the course of the game, we'll establish and grow this settlement by unlocking upgrades and bringing new characters into the hub. It also looks like we'll have our own apartment to decorate, which is always a really fun feature to play around with. If you know anything about game development, you might find Heart Machine's procedural generation process pretty interesting. It does get technical, and I don't really understand it, but it's great to see a developer go into such detail about these aspects of their game. Heart Machine is releasing a series of heart-to-heart videos where different team members come together to talk about aspects of game design, like environment and sound, as well as answer some frequently asked questions about the game. I highly recommend you check these out if you're at all interested in the team, the game, or just want a more in-depth look at a certain process. Overall, I have really high hopes for Hyper Light Breaker. As I mentioned, the game will be coming to early access next year, and I think roguelites are the perfect type of game to do so. That way the developers can really hone in gameplay and the overall feel of combat, which is important with a title like this. Heart Machine is putting a huge emphasis on having a community-focused development process and generally being open about the state of the game. This seems to be a recent trend in game development, and even AAA games like Hogwarts Legacy are being more transparent with fans. If you want to know what I have to say about that, then check this video out next.